Great. So, hello everybody. Welcome to our webinar with the University of South Alabama. And today we are going to talk about a CV resume preparation for U.S. universities. My name is Karen Botero, and I am pleased to be here with you hosting this webinar on representing Viva-Mundo. So before we start, I would like to tell you a little bit about Viva-Mundo. And in our website, we tell you all you need to start the process of studying abroad. So we invite you to read all our articles and find all kind of information about it or about the studies abroad in general. So today we're joined by Maya Pereira. She is the Assistant Director of Global Outreach at the University of South Alabama. And as I told you before, she will be talking about the importance of a CV or a resume and how to build a college resume and different academic opportunities at the university. So we hope you all enjoy this presentation. And of course, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them at the Q&A box here at the bottom of the screen, and we will go back to them at the end of the presentation. So now I would like to give the floor to Maya. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. So as Karen mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about studying in the US, how to choose where you want to study in the US, things you should look for, as well as a little bit about the University of South Alabama, which is where I am. And then, of course, dive into why a resume is important, how to build a resume, and then, of course, how to use it, where to use it, especially as you're just getting ready to get into college or university. So as Karen mentioned, I'm the Assistant Director for Global Outreach. So we'll get started. So this is a picture of Mobile Bay. This is actually looking into the city. So the skyline there is where the city of Mobile is, which is where we are. So again, this is kind of the topics that we're going to discuss. And so here we go. So first, a lot of students want to know why they should choose the United States as a study destination. While the US has been a study destination, a top destination for a long time, there are other emerging markets. And so we want to make sure that we are still competitive and a good fit for you guys to come and study here as international students. So a few reasons. The United States has over 5,000 colleges and universities all over. So lots of high quality institutions, lots of high quality instructors and research in many fields. So there's a lot of opportunities for research, not just as a graduate student, but a lot of times as an undergraduate or a bachelor's student. Another reason is the broad range of programs. So universities in the US have programs that range from botany to biology to graphic design to nursing and everything in between. Our university alone has over 100 programs, which I'll talk a little bit about as we kind of continue on. And of course, studying in the US isn't just going to class and going home. There is a student lifestyle that, you'll get to experience here, and meeting people from all over the world, improving your English skills. It's really a new perspective on the world when you get to travel if you haven't done so internationally already. How do I choose is a question I get a lot in my job. Students always ask, how do I pick where to go out of all, if there's 5,000 universities in the US, how do I choose? And so these are just a few things that I always like to talk about. So the location and the climate, if that's important to you, if you definitely want snow, or if you definitely do not want snow, available programs, of course, the cost and any kind of financial aid or scholarship services and support services. as well as extracurricular activities, research, internships, of course, accreditation. That's really important as well. And think about what's important to you. If there are certain things that are more important to you, think about those things and make sure that those things are addressed by the university that you're choosing to attend. And so I'll tell you now a little bit about our university. So the University of South Alabama is located on what's known as the Gulf Coast. So it's the southeastern coast of the United States. We're in a city called Mobile. Mobile is about a 2-hour drive from New Orleans, a 1-hour flight from Atlanta, and about an hour and 20 minutes from Dallas and Houston, Texas, flying. So we're pretty well connected to the southeastern region of the US, but in terms of coming and going as an international student, it's pretty easy to get to. We're located along a part of the US that's known for its white sand beaches. We have beaches within driving distance of campus. As you can see, it stays fairly warm and sunny most of the year, and the average temperatures are pretty moderate. And so the city of Mobile has a population of about 200,000. So it's a medium-sized city. It's big enough that there's fun things to do and opportunities, but a bit smaller, quieter, and definitely a lower cost of living than a lot of larger cities. We do, however, have the 11th largest shipping port in the United States by volume. So all international businesses and industry that comes with a shipping port are right here in the city of Mobile. We're also a tourist destination for the beaches that you saw. And cruises. As you can see, we have festivals in the city as well as on the beach. And so there's a lot of fun things going on in the city where we're located. Now, a little bit about the university. We're about 14,000 students total. So we're a medium-sized public institution. We have over 100 different degree programs, 18 different research centers, and 250 student organizations. But your average class size is between 20 to 22 students. So you still have an opportunity to get to know both your classmates and your professors. The campus is about 5 square kilometers. So as you can see from the photos here, we have a pretty traditional campus with lots of open and green spaces. Campus has a lot of really great state-of-the-art facilities. So the top left photo is our campus recreation center, which has an indoor and an outdoor pool, cardio theater, weight room, rock wall, regulation soccer arena, as well as Meisler Hall, which is right below that. That's a lot of administrative offices. My office is in here as well. It's where I am right now. The center top photo is our honors college, and below that is our College of Computing and School of Engineering. One wing is computing, one wing is engineering. And then the top right there is our College of Business, and below that is an event from the week of welcome on campus, which is something that we do for the first week of students that come to campus. So our undergraduate and graduate programs take place in one of 9 colleges and schools where there's a really large focus on bringing the real world into the classroom. So we really want to set you guys up to be successful after graduation. Whether that's in the human patient simulation lab for health sciences, student working together for cybersecurity competitions, internships at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, or working with the student managed Jaguar investment fund, students are really given opportunities to gain experience while they're completing their studies here at the university. So we have programs in all of these colleges that you see. The College of Engineering and the School of Computing are both ABET accredited, and the College of Business is AACSB accredited, and only 5% of colleges and universities worldwide have this accreditation. So as you can see, there's a lot of opportunity here in various programs, ranging from biology to, MBA or a doctorate in business administration to hospitality and tourism management, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. So lots of things to do and lots of opportunities for you guys coming in as international students. So as I mentioned earlier, the University of South Alabama is a high-level research institution. So we have research spanning a very wide variety of fields. So everything from archaeology to forensics and IT, cancer research and coastal weather. No matter what field you study, you're going to have a wide variety of opportunities to take your education to the next level. And it's not just for undergraduate students. This is for graduate students and as well. So it's not just you're doing your master's or your PhD and you get to do research. You can do that as little and as early as during your undergraduate degree. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, of course, going to the US universities is more than just classes. It's where you'll be living and having fun for your duration on campus. So, campus life to us includes everything from student organizations to recreational activities, club sports to support services for students, and more. Our student organizations are academic, religious, identity-based, special interest-based, and often host events that you can actually participate in or have leadership opportunities within those groups themselves. Our Student Recreation Center is a state-of-the-art facility that I talked to you a little bit about earlier with the pools, the rock climbing wall, and all of that. One of the things that we have at the beginning of each semester is our on-campus job fair, where you'll be able to see a lot of on-campus job opportunities, which is, of course, a question that we get a lot from incoming international students. So on a student visa, you're allowed to work on campus for up to 20 hours per week. So if you're looking for an on-campus job during your undergraduate degree or graduate degree, there's a variety of student services on campus, including academic advising, tutoring, campus safety, our on-campus mail services, transportation, and then in all of our academic departments as well. And then we have the division Global USA, which is where I am. That's our international division. So we have our international admissions, immigration coordinators, international student services that include airport pickup and orientation, and helping you get settled into your student housing. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about admissions requirements, cost, and scholarships, and then we'll get into our resume chat. So these are our admissions requirements for incoming undergraduate, and these are the basic admission requirements for graduate students. So for undergraduate, it's just academic records is what you'll need to submit with your application. We're looking for a GPA of 2.5 out of 4. Don't worry if your country doesn't use this system. A testing requirement as well. So any one of these, if you're in A levels, you can go ahead and submit those. IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, any of that is allowed as far as admissions criteria. And then for graduate programs, it really varies based on the program. And so if you're interested in a specific program, just send me an email after this call, and we will be able to get you the admissions requirements and information that you need to be able to get into the program. So, and I'll share my contact information at the end. And so this is going to be our cost. So for undergraduate students, this is based on 2 semesters of 12 credit hours. So the average tuition is around $16,000. Below that is the living expenses, which includes living on campus as well as a meal plan, health insurance, and then books below that. So your total cost for 1 year as an undergraduate student is around $29,500. And keep in mind, you have 4 years as an undergraduate student here. So you'll be multiplying that by 4 for the entirety of your degree. For graduate students, the tuition and fees are based on 6 hours for the graduate level of arts and sciences. So the tuition and fees are a bit lower here, but living expenses, health insurance, and books are the same for a total cost of $24,300. And graduate programs are between 1 to 2 years. So it really varies on how long your program is. And keep in mind that the tuition and fees do vary based on the programs that you're in. So I can share with you as well an expense worksheet that you're able to calculate exactly or a very close estimate of what your tuition and fees will be for your time here, depending on the program that you're in. And so these are our undergraduate scholarships. So what you'll need is there's a little bit of criteria. This is where your SAT or really your SAT, but if you do take the ACT, of course, you could submit that as well. So the top two tables here are the optional scoring. The only difference in the two tables is your GPA. So if your GPA is 3.5 out of 4 or higher, you'll look at the top left table. If it's 3.0 to 3.49, you'll look at the top right table. And if you don't have an SAT or ACT and don't plan to take one, that's okay. We do have a scholarship available for you. It's a bit smaller, so 2,500 or 4,000, depending on your score here. And then the bottom is for transfer students. So if you're already a student somewhere in the US or abroad and a transfer in, we do have a couple of transfer scholarships available depending on your transfer and GPA, which is something that we calculate in-house. You don't need to send it to WES or anything like that. And then for graduate funding, we don't offer graduate scholarships, but depending on the department, we do have graduate assistantships. These are awards that are going to be made on a competitive basis to degree-seeking graduate students. Selection varies by the department, but is generally based on the things that you submit for your application. Duties vary program to program, and generally graduate assistants receive a stipend as determined by their department in addition to a tuition waiver. And so that's going to be about our university. So now we'll talk a little bit about why having a resume or a CV, if that's what you call it, is important for not only for applying to universities, but of course afterwards. So being able to have a resume when you're getting out of high school or getting out of your undergraduate to get into your graduate program is important. It's good practice. Because whenever you do apply for a job, you will definitely have to submit a resume, but it's good practice to have one before that, even if you don't need it to apply to a particular program. But it summarizes your achievements, talents, and interests. So it's basically a snapshot of who you are. I always say it's a first impression before your first impression. This demonstrates that you're capable of academic success. And a lot of times that's done by not only your education experience, but your skills as well, which is something that you'll list on your resume, and focuses on academics instead of jobs. So this is definitely tailored to an academic resume versus somebody who's applying to a job. And then of course, you have, there's a statistic that, an employer or a committee just spends a minute or two looking at your resume. So that quick glance really will separate, the best from the rest. So separates a good candidate from a great candidate. So any good college resume will have a few different components. So make sure you choose the right format, professional contact information, objective education, experience, coursework, skills, and then make sure you proofread. So let's break these down into separate pieces. So first, the format. Keep your layout simple, but be sure there isn't a ton of blank space in your resume. You want to find the balance between clean, but with good information. So the chronological format, a chronological resume prioritizes relevant information such as experience and achievements. So there's three main resume formats. There's chronological, functional, and combination. Which combination would be a combo, obviously, of chronological and the other type, which is functional. Functional resumes are more skill-based and, of course, pretty straightforward, but generally for a resume, you're going to use chronological format. So contact information, even for a college resume, professional contact information is very important. So ensure your first name and last name along with your address is included. When you put a phone number, be sure to include your country code. And when you include your email, make sure it's professional. If you have an email from, when you were 10 years old and it's like crazy girl 2002 at Hotmail, make sure you use this time to register for a new email address that's just maybe your first and last name, or a combination of your first and middle and last, or anything like that that's very professional and straightforward. You want to make sure that you come across as professional in your resume, even if you're doing it to apply for university admission. So an objective, there's some differing opinions on whether or not to include an objective in a resume. Some consider it kind of old-fashioned, while others think it's still an important part of your resume. Do some research and decide whether or not you think an objective should be part of your resume. It's just 1 to 2 sentences, sums up the skills. Usually it's short right at the top of your resume. I personally don't have one on mine. I never have, but some people do. So that's really something that's up to you. So next is going to be education. So here you'll list, this is especially if you're going to graduate school, you'll list education institutions you have attended in reverse chronological order. So starting with your current or most recent school and working back to high school. For each school, include the name of the institutions, the address, like the city and the country or city and state if it's somewhere in the US, and then the degree you received along with your major, if applicable. If you're applying as an incoming undergraduate student, this is where you'll also be able to include your class rank, your GPA, and any test scores that are relevant, or even some kind of honors or achievements, even though you can include that elsewhere. So next is experience. So this section can include any relevant experience, whether it's volunteering, internships, tutoring. You can also include professional and academic affiliations. These show your willingness to reach out, to learn, and network. Admissions offices know that a lot of students obviously haven't had work experience, but they still focus on this section, so make sure you don't skip it. This section should be formatted using bullet points. Coursework is next. So like the objective, this section is also optional. If you're applying to undergraduate programs, so if you're applying for the first time to a university, you can include, if you're in IB or AP and you're getting college credit for a certain course, you can include that because that is relevant. If you're applying to a graduate program, you'll include coursework that you took in your undergraduate degree that's relevant to the graduate program you're applying for. Next is skills. So this section is a way to quickly communicate your ability to succeed. So hard skills are skills that are learned through education and experience, such as software programs. If you're good at Microsoft Word or Excel or the entire Microsoft Office, or if you're good at any other kind of technical skills, computer skills, that's a hard skill because that's something that you've learned over time. Soft skills are usually things like personality traits or skills like critical thinking. If you're good with time management, that's something that you could put as a soft skill. So these are quick keywords that, the admissions office or your employer or something like that can pull. So make sure, again, you don't skip that section either. And then finally, you want to proofread. So take a break, even overnight. I always give it at least through the next night. Read every word and share it with someone that you trust will also read through every single word. So find a peer or somebody in your family who has, really good skills, and they'll really take the time to go through your resume and take it seriously. So these are going to be the elements. So format, contact, objective is optional, education, experience, coursework, also optional, skills, and proofread. Proofread. That is so important. So why would you need a resume as a college student? It's a good question. While some colleges, like us, the University of South Alabama, does not necessarily require them for admission for undergraduate programs, there are other colleges that do, or at least they encourage them. These colleges usually base admissions on more of a holistic criteria, or they could be like us. We only use them for graduate school admissions. Another use, a few uses are scholarship applications. So sometimes those will be required or encouraged, and that differentiates you from other applicants. And then honors college applications. So we have an honors college here, and that is part of the application, just submitting a resume. So while a resume isn't always work experience, you can see from the criteria that was in the previous slide that it's a little bit more than that. So you can include things that are relevant to where you are in your life, even though you don't have any work experience. And so this is my contact information. This is the end of my presentation. So be sure to jot this down, screenshot it. You can send me an email, message me on WhatsApp, scan to learn more information, or reach out on our website, any of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on TikTok with the same handle. So make sure that you follow us and talk to your university reps. We have your best interests at heart. We want to be able to answer questions for you. So be sure to do that. And then that's it for me. So I guess let's do questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Maya, for your presentation. It was really brilliant. And I'm sure you gave us really important information. So if any of our attendees have any questions, please do not hesitate once again to ask here in the Q&A section. And yes, let's start. So we have one question to start off with, which is, what kind of students organizations do you have at the University of South Alabama?
That's a good question. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of student organizations. So they range from, professional to academic to identity-based to interest-based. So we have organizations that are based on like what your major is. So we have organizations that are civil engineering club, or or the AED, which is our health sciences club. But we also have organizations that are based on people who are interested in other things, like certain sports or certain interest groups or certain political affiliations. So there's really a huge option, a lot of different varieties of clubs that you can join. There's a reason there's 250. There's a lot because there's a lot of interest on our college campus. We do have 14,000 students, but they're from 50 different countries. So people have different interests from everywhere, even people from the US. They all, of course, have very different interests. So definitely check out our website. There's a list of them there. Don't get overwhelmed. There is like a fair that we do for a lot of these groups, and you can get to meet people from these different organizations and see what's a good fit for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. There are students organizations for everyone, I guess. So our next question will be, does the university offer advice in terms of visa application?
So we generally do not, just because legally we're not really supposed to do that. So what I suggest doing is working with offices like Viva-Mundo and seeing, what they can do to kind of help guide you in that situation. Or there's also in-country Education USA offices, which are part of the US Department of State, and they'll help you kind of guide you through that as well. The biggest thing I can say about a visa interview is don't sweat it. You're here to study. You're not hiding anything. So just answer the questions honestly. Go in with a good attitude. And usually that means pretty good visa success rate.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, Maya, we have a question here about like campus, like in-campus and off-campus activities. You already told us like different in-campus activities, but someone is asking, will I be able to enjoy off-campus activities as well?
Definitely. So your experience here really is what you make it. Every month we have Art Walk downtown, which is where a lot of galleries open. And people can walk in and out of the different galleries and restaurants and stores and shops and things like that. They close off the street so people can walk there. We have music festivals in town. We have soccer and rugby clubs that are part of the community, as well as, even our sports games on campus. Those are big community events. It's not just students there, it's people from all over the community. There's a lot to do in Mobile, like an international festival every year. There's, of course, we're the home of Mardi Gras, which is where we have parades and fun parties and things like that. So, and then there's music festivals even on the beach, going to the beach just for, this weekend is the 4th of July holiday. So being able to go and enjoy the beach when the weather is good is something that we've definitely liked to do around here. So yes, definitely. This experience is what you make it. And of course, we'll share all of the community events that we're aware of, just in case you miss those announcements as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your answer. Here says, do you offer accommodation for international students?
We do. We have over 32 different residence halls on campus. You're not required to live on campus. We definitely encourage it just because of the ease of access of everything. But there's a lot of apartments off campus as well. So that's part of the tuition cost that I was able to share with you earlier.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we have a couple of questions about like the life in campus in general. So here says, can I work at the university as an international student?
Yes, you definitely can. So with your visa, you can work 20 hours per week on campus. So it's not going to be enough to pay for like your tuition or living on campus, but it's additional money as for your time here on campus. So kind of like pocket money sort of thing. So we have the campus job fair at the beginning of every semester. You can see different organizations and offices that are hiring student workers and set up interviews to do after the job fair.
Great, thank you very much. And a question related to like work, or yes, in general, like work experience, is how long does an internship last, like in a program there at the University of South Alabama? And can I find a paid internship?
Great question. So internships for credit are usually 1 semester. And yeah, some are paid. It's going to be less likely to find one that's paid. Usually they're unpaid internships, which is why they're called internships. But yeah, definitely. We have connections. All of our academic colleges have connections to the different businesses and organizations in the area. And so they can kind of help get you set up with an internship, as well as we have a great career services office that can help you find an available internship as well.
Great, thank you very much. I know you already talked about scholarships or financial aid, but someone is still like talking about it, asking about it. So here says, are there scholarships or any other financial aid available for international students?
Yeah, definitely. So on your screen on the bottom left is southalabama.edu/global-USA. So it's our website, and there's actually a button there that just says scholarships. And so when you open that, you'll be able to see the tables that I shared with you for the different bigger scholarships available, as well as other small scholarships that are available. So once you're admitted, you'll have access to a portal called JAGspot. And so JAGspot will list all of the scholarships that are available to you, and you can apply for them right there in that portal. For the scholarships that I showed you earlier in the presentation, there's no application required, but those are available to you, and you'll receive notification in your email if those are awarded to you before you start.
Awesome, thank you. We just dropped the website of the University of South Alabama.
Thank you.
In the chat box, so just go and take a look there. So we have another question here. It says, what kind of academic programs do you offer at the university?
That's a big question. So we have over 100 different academic programs available. So they're in one of 9 different colleges. So our allied health college is going to be things like occupational therapy, physical therapy. For our College of Business, you'll have things like the MBA, marketing, international business, human resources, things like that. College of Engineering and Computing are pretty self-explanatory. Those have exactly what you think they'd have. And then you have the College of Nursing, which has our nursing programs as well. The College of Education and Professional Studies, which has things like hospitality and tourism management. So you have a lot of different options as far as programs are concerned. Our College of Arts and Sciences alone has 50 programs in it, and they range from, graphic design to chemistry. So lots of options there. And a one that we really promote is our marine biology program, because that's something unique that we do have on our campus. So definitely, if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll give you some great information.
Cool, thank you very much. So let's move a bit and let's talk about CVs and resumes in general. So here says, how often should I update my CV?
Great question. So as a rule of thumb, I always recommend once a year. If you don't need it, like if you're in a program and you don't need it updated for anything, I just recommend once a year going over it, seeing what still applies, what are things you need to add, what are things you need to take away, just to kind of keep it current. So that way, in 4 years, when you're trying to get a job interview, you're not trying to basically redo your whole resume. Sometimes, you forget to update it, and that's okay. Just update it when you can, but at least once a year, I think, is a good rule of thumb.
Great. Our next question will be, how to add experience to a resume if I have no work or professional experience?
Definitely. So experience doesn't necessarily have to be work or professional experience. It could be any kind of internship or professional affiliations, any kind of volunteer work that you've done, anything that you can just Google experience for resumes and you'll get a lot of options of things that you can add that aren't necessarily related to work. But if you don't have any experience, you have no volunteer or extracurricular clubs or things that you're a part of at your high school or in your college, then I recommend getting out there and being a part of it. It can be any kind of club or organization, just something to show that you're somebody who will network and meet other people, and you're willing to learn.
Great. So our next question says, after graduation, do you recommend me to create different types of CVs?
Not necessarily. I have always used a chronological CV because that's really the most popular. And so sometimes you'll just need to update or modify sections of it. Especially like if you're going to apply for a job after you graduate, you really don't need your class rank from high school. You can take that out or take out your SAT score if that was on there, and then include any internship or work experience that you got during college, even if it was just part-time. So I don't think you don't need to necessarily have 3 different types of resumes. Just update and modify the one you have depending on what you're applying to.
Great, thank you very much. Our next question will be, how can I compensate if I have a low GPA?
That's a good question. So if you have a low GPA, try to really prepare for any kind of tests that you are going to take, like the SAT, and just do the best that you can on that. Make sure you're involved in extracurricular activities to show that you're a little bit more well-rounded. And then honestly, do everything you can to raise that GPA, because that shows us as an institution that you are serious about yourself academically, which is also very important to your academic success.
Great, thank you very much. So here says, will I need accommodation advice before arrival? How much is the living cost there in South Alabama?
Yeah, so we have a WhatsApp group for newly admitted students, where students can kind of ask questions that they have, and all of our staff is in that group. And we answer questions, but to be honest, a lot of times other students answer questions for us. So it's a good way to get to know other incoming students. The average accommodation cost for 1 year is around $8,600. So that's going to be for your on-campus living. Of course, the cost will vary depending on what residence hall you're in, what meal plan you're in, and the cost could vary a bit if you choose to live off campus and get roommates. So there's a lot of variables there, but we are happy to offer you advice and give you information. We're not going to tell you where to live, but we'll be able to give you as much information as you'd like.
Thank you. One question related to like this support from the university is, do you offer psychological advice or psychological support to the students?
So we do have student like student therapy services if that's something that you're interested in. That's after you arrive and are enrolled as a student, if you do want to go see a psychologist or a therapist, you can do that as a university student. We do have a clinic on campus.
Great, thank you very much. We have two more questions. This one says, how can I apply to a program?
Yep. So same thing, just visit that website and there's a button there to apply. Everything really is there. The application is very straightforward. Make sure that you submit your academic records and your English proficiency exams. That's really all we need for admission.
Great. And our last question will be, do you have on-campus classes or only virtual classes due to the pandemic?
So that's a good question. We were online last year, strictly online. This year, we're going back to more of a traditional in-class or hybrid where you just meet once or twice a week approach. So if you're not able to join a class, if you're not able to get out of your home country, and for a few days or a week or two, then we'll help you reach out to your professors to see if it's available, if it's allowed for you to take their class virtually until you get here. But other than that, vaccines are widely available here to our students. A lot of students are taking them. So we're doing our best to, as quickly as possible, move towards a more traditional pre-pandemic life here on campus.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Maya, for your presentation. Yeah. Thank you for your answer. I think that's it. If any of our attendees have any other questions, please feel free to send all of your questions to Maya via email or to visit their website. Here in the screen, you can find all her contact details and the contact details of the university. So feel free to do it. I don't know if you have any other extra information that you want to say.
Definitely, I know, choosing a college or university or building a resume, doing these big changes in your life can be overwhelming, but use the resources that you have, especially with college representatives like myself. We want to answer your questions about, coming to the US, coming to universities here. So no question is too small, and definitely don't overthink it, but we're here if you have any questions, and thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So that will be the end of our webinar. We invite you to all the people registered in this webinar and all the people who are watching us on our Facebook Live to visit once again the University of South Alabama website and of course the Viva-Mundo website if you want to find more information about the studies abroad. Thank you once again, Maya, for your brilliant presentation. And thank you to all our attendees for listening. We hope you have a great day and we hope to see you all soon.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.